Here's a text that will lead into a baseball conversation. Says, guys, that center fielder from St. John's is pretty good. Yeah, that's Aiden Robbins. We spotlighted him on the way in. He's one of those portal additions for the Longhorns. Aiden Robbins, though, center fielder for Jim Schlossnagle, Jack. On Friday, he had kind of a rough night, went 0 for. He went 0 for yesterday, but on Saturday, he hit for the cycle. First Longhorn since 2015 to hit for the cycle, and he made this play in center field. This was a 3-1 ball game in the end, and this saved the day for Texas. Aiden Robbins in center field.
Drifting to right center and carrying. Robbins on the run, dives, makes the grab as he slides into the wall.
Unbelievable play. So he's playing an unbelievable brand of center field and just tracking that down 100 feet on that or more to get to that ball. So, yes, we'll get to more Texas baseball. Now 7-0 after the first 2 weekends. Also, the basketball side. But I did want to mention, we'll get into this more next hour, Steve Sarkisian is scheduled to meet with reporters today, this morning, as a matter of fact. It'll be the first time Sark has fielded questions in such a forum like this since the Longhorns ended the season. 2020, back in 2025 when they beat Michigan 41-27 in the Citrus Bowl. So, obviously, a lot of questions. There's a lot of changes. Will Muschamp is in place. Our Blake Gideon has been brought back. The portal has opened and closed, and the Longhorns have added significant firepower through the portal. So next hour at 7:30, Jack, I'll get into some of the questions I think we're going to have for Sark. It's been a minute. Now, we've seen him in a bit of basketball games. He's had some Q&A, but mostly this is the first, sitting fire questions at the coach in 2026. So looking forward to that. It's the point of it is to preview spring practice, what the format's going to look like, when it starts, when it finishes, spring game, and really just I'm sure Sark's going to get inundated with requests. So you sit down and you answer some questions. That'll be today. So tomorrow on the show and throughout the week, we'll have all of that sorted out, and we'll get a little bit of the expectation coming up. But what do we make of the basketball week, Jack, weekend before we get to the baseball men's hoops? You can say they fought hard. But a terrible start and an equally bad finish led the Longhorns and Sean Miller and company. Their 5-game win streak comes to an end in Athens on Saturday afternoon. You can give credit for the adjustments and the level of fight because Texas, their lack of defense and the ability to get stops or create turnovers was impossible for Sean Miller or the offense to overcome on Saturday. The sluggish start, to say the least. They were down 26-9. In this game, 26-9 on the road in the first 12 minutes of the game. But this is where you give some credit. They rallied to get it to 10 by halftime, 45-35. And then in the first 12 minutes of the second half, they came all the way back and tied the game at 67. From 26-9 down, all the way back on the road to a tie game. And they got tied on a beautiful step-back three-pointer from Jordan Pope with 7.5 minutes to play. And you're like, hey, man, well, they might go ahead and get this game. But what do you need at that point? Now, you took a lot of energy to get back in the game and get back tied. Georgia on home floor responded. A quick 10-2 run really ended the game at that point. When you get it tied at 67 and then they immediately erupt for a 10-2 run to go back up 8, it was almost like the wind came out of the sails for Texas at that point. And really at the end of the day, the defense was awful. Texas made 9 turnovers, committed 9 turnovers. That's a lot, not a lot, but they came at critical situations. And it didn't feel like on Saturday that the Longhorn turnovers led to like 3-pointers or dunks and ones. So they weren't a lot of turnovers, but they were costly. And remember, I was at the game in Austin, Jack, when Texas beat Georgia by 20 back in January. They held them to 67 points. And that was the ice day. That was an ice Saturday when everybody was ready for the ice storm that came that afternoon into the next morning. But Saturday, Georgia was on point. They had 45 in the first half, 46 in the second half, and ended up putting 91 points on the board. They shot over 60% from the field, 11 of 20 from three-point land. How about 55%? So you tip your cap. They didn't miss any, but the Texas defense didn't. They only forced 5 turnovers the whole game.
Yeah, you're not going to win a lot of games on the road when it's 60, 55, 86, but just to collapse like they did after, and it was a bad collapse. As soon as they got it tied, it's like they were like, all right, mission accomplished. We got it back to tied. Just started turning the ball over, and that led to a few costly buckets.
That's you fight. Look, Texas has 4 to go.
Right.
Starting Wednesday night with Florida, and Florida's the best team in the conference. Florida might be a top 5 team in the country that are defending national champs.
Yeah.
Remember, if you go back to December when they were 5-4, Florida, and we'll talk more about them this week. But they've gone on about a 16-2 run here.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to win that game.
No, it's a bad matchup. And so then you got A&M at A&M. Then you've got a tough Arkansas team, and then you've got Oklahoma here. So you've got to get at least one more It's sitting at 8 wins in the conference. You'd like to get to 9. You'd like to get to 10, and that'll start Wednesday. But that defense, and I'm sure we'll hear from Sean Miller today or this week about it, but you got to be able to get some stops. They couldn't. You give Georgia credit. They knew they scored 67 points. Remember when they came in after they beat Georgia? Georgia was one of the highest scoring teams. They were averaging in the 90s, and Texas held them to 67. And I was like, wow, all right, nice work right there. And Georgia got their offense cranked up, and Texas, I'll give them credit for the fight and the adjustments to get it back tied. But then it was wind out of the sails time. We'll get to the Texas women here coming up, who celebrated senior day, and the game was never in doubt. But for the baseball side, we mentioned Aiden Robbins hitting for the cycle. That was pretty awesome. And the home run he hit, Jack, was an opposite field shot. Opposite field. He hits the home run. He had a single. He had a triple down the line that squirted past the first baseman and all the way to the wall. He showed his speed. Aiden Robbins, gets all the way. And then he had a double. There was originally ruled an error, but they went back and made it a double, and he ends up with the cycle. But I wanted to play this from Jim Schlossnagle. Jim Schlossnagle said this Friday night, and this is, Schloss has been coaching a long time, TCU, A&M, and now Texas. He says he's never had a lineup like this where he has this many right-handed hitters who can use the whole field. Listen to Schlossnagle, because Aiden Robbins, and he'll go through the guys, but he says, I've never had a lineup that I remember this potent from the right side.
Well, I mean, we knew pitching staffs.
Well, actually, that's the one we'll get to on pitching from Schloss. I wanted to play this one from Friday night. Thank you.
Yeah, I've told scouts, I haven't had in my career that I remember, I haven't had multiple right-handed hitters that use the whole field the way Mendoza, Robbins, Tinney, and now A-Rod is he's taken a jump from the right side of the plate too. So I think those are the 4 guys, but I've rarely had just when you find one, you see why guys hit for high average when they're able to use the whole field.
And remember, Aiden Robbins, because he's got A-Rob and A-Rod on this team. Adrian Rodriguez and Aiden Robbins. And Robbins, he's the guy we spotlighted from St. John's, Jack, Seton Hall, that batted over 4. He was 450 last year in the Big East, and he was on base like 0.53%, like over 50% of the time with his ability to be patient at the plate. So their slots, that's pretty high praise. I've never had this many hitters that hit it all over the yard, spray the ball, will go with pitches and not get themselves out. Because college pitcher, you try to pull an outside pitch a lot of times, you're just going to roll it over to the shortstop. These guys will spray it. And Ethan Mendoza hit another home run. He's up to 5 now already at the leadoff spot. So, and again, the offense will keep coming. But right now, this is about the pitching staff, because the other thing you got to see this weekend for Texas, Ruger Riojas, electric and great on Friday night again. Luke Harrison, took some hard hits, but they still were able to win that game. But in that game on Saturday, Thomas Burns, who is planning to fill in and become Dylan Volantis and close down games, he came in and got an 8-out or a 4-out save. Right, 8th inning into the 9th, and he was electric, 96-98. He let a runner on. He had 2 runners on, and then he mowed down 3 strikeouts on 10 pitches. And just mowed down Michigan State at that point. And then you came back yesterday, and this is so far how you're sweeping teams. You're coming back with Dylan Volantis, who's your best pitcher. And he may end up on Friday nights at some point, but man, when you go to Friday and the other team's bullpen is kind of worn out and you're going to Dylan Volantis, who for the 2nd straight Sunday gave you 7 innings and threw under 90 pitches, and delivered a career-high 9 strikeouts and only walked 1. He pitched out of some trouble early and then was just in a rocking chair. How about the Texas pitching staff this weekend? 27 innings pitched, 15 hits allowed, 1 earned run total, 32 strikeouts, 4 walks. Max Wiener has to be pleased. You saw that with Ruger to start the whole thing, right?
Yeah, and he's got some juice up there on the mound, man.
How's the mustache game?
It's very good.
The flow. Well, now go ahead.
Yeah, no, just the Dylan Volantis, the efficiency.
Oh,
we were worried about, hey, he's a closer, he's gonna be a starter. Can he go long? Does he have that juice? It's like, well, it doesn't matter if he's only throwing 10 pitches an inning, man.
Well, he's also working in a changeup. So, because to be a starter and go through a lineup a few times, you've got to get a 3rd pitch out of the bullpen. You can probably live on 2. Starter's got to get to a 3rd, and he's got that changeup going, which is just devastating with his high arm angle. And we heard Ty Harrington on Friday talking about the cloud maker, the breaking ball that's impossible to hit. But listen to Schloss. He's not surprised. And for you, because now Texas will go to a tougher part of their schedule, right? They're going to go to Houston this weekend, UTRGV tomorrow night, and then to Houston this weekend where they'll play Coastal Carolina and Baylor in that Houston tournament at Dyken Park indoors, which would be great. And then, you got, the SEC's right around the corner. In about 3 weeks to the SEC starting. But here is Schloss talking about we expected this pitching staff to be our anchor as we start this year.
It's going to be the strong suit of our club, coming into the season, veterans and the new guys. Throw a lot of strikes, throw multiple pitches for strikes. We're certainly going to, face better teams in our league. I mean, Michigan State's got a good team, and I thought Lamar had a good club. I think, UC Davis will be competitive in their conference, but we all know what's ahead of us, and they're not just, those teams aren't going to have just good position players, they're going to have good pitching too, so we'll be able to pitch with most teams. But, we just have to keep improving, keep the right guys healthy. I was glad to see Valanis be out there for an extended period. That'll help him out moving forward, but we just need to stay committed to the opening day mentality that these guys have.
Opening day mentality and lights out. Texas 7-0. And we'll have more throughout the morning on Texas, the good, the bad, and the ugly. The offense will keep coming. And this was, let's just say this, if you were at the Dish any of the nights, it was a pitcher's weekend because the wind was blowing in. Mm-hmm. Carson Tinney, the catcher, hit a ball yesterday that would have been a home run on most any other day. Yeah. It got knocked down. There were several.
And the one day it wasn't that windy is the one I was there, and that's when they had their best offensive output.
Yeah, that's
Anthony
when they
Pack hit a home run. Ethan Mendoza hit a home run.
This team's good. This team is good.
By the way, Jonah Williams didn't look bad.
Yeah,
Got
he
his
drove in a
first
run.
Start.
He's back, and so yes, just adding to it. The final thing in our Horns That Have Passed, your burnt orange shot of caffeine. It's Texas women. They crushed Mississippi State yesterday on Senior Day at the Mood. This final score was 90. They won by 50. I mean, it's ridiculous. They made 11 three-pointers. So this week, the Longhorns and Vic Schaefer, remember after the rough week, they lost to Vanderbilt, turned around and survived Tennessee, and they beat Arkansas by 31, and they beat Mississippi State by 50. They're playing good. And it was Senior Day, so they honored all the seniors. But Rory Harmon, of course, and Vic Schaefer fighting back tears because how much he has appreciation for Rory. We'll hear that cut coming up. Can I play this for you? This is pretty cool. This is Vic Schaefer, citing one of his walk-ons. Sarah Graves, who walked onto this team and is a walk-on. She's there every day. Listen to Vic, and he says, in this day and age of college athletics, she's what's good about college athletics. It still exists.
She's what's right about college athletics. And you just don't find it in today's climate. And, I have a great deal of admiration and respect for her. She works just as hard as anybody else on our team. And yet it doesn't deter her 1 minute, her energy, her effort, her commitment, whether she plays a minute or she doesn't. It does not deter who she is, her character, and how she goes about her life each and every day. Moody does not apply to Sarah Graves. She sets the temperature. She is the thermostat.
Awesome. Doing it for the love of the game and playing for Texas. As a walk-on. So Senior Day yesterday for the women.